Bonjour, bonsoir, dear friends. Welcome to JCB Live. Guess where we are? We have one of the most charming, attractive American icon, Mr. GQ, Mr. Vanity Fair, Mr. Obviously, the world of food and wine, dear friends. So we are with Tyler Florence. I don't think there's a way to introduce him rather than the king of the food networks and CNN and Oprah.
Yeah.
Writing how many books now?
16 books.
16 books,
Yeah.
dear friends. Can you imagine?
It's my 25th year on television with Food Network, and we just signed a new 5-year contract, which is kind of amazing. And now we're here at our new steakhouse in San Francisco, Miller Lux. It's at the Chase Center, home of the world champion Golden State Warriors.
Woo!
And we're talking about some wonderful wine that we've had earlier today, and also a collaboration project that you and I are going to work on together, which is very, very exciting.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
So we are tasting with Jcb Caviar,
Yep.
first and ever on our network as well. And this is a pearlescent and obviously pristine and desired wine we've been working on for 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
As a phenomenal chef, what do you think of this?
To me, I really like the viscosity and the mouthfeel. There's a thickness to it. I think it's really wonderful on the palate. It really kind of feels like you're drinking an expensive glass of champagne. It feels like an expensive glass of champagne.
And it's an expensive glass of Burgundy champagne.
Exactly. And then the fireworks on the finish is just amazing, right? So the effervescence and the bubbles are the first thing you kind of experience, and they stay with you for a while too. So it kind of has that wonderful acidity to it, and so you kind of get that deliciousness where you just kind of want to take another oyster, right, or another little bite of smoked salmon, or another little bite of tuna tartare, or something that kind of feels really kind of yummy that would match up with that perfectly. That's a very delicious, sexy glass of champagne. There's no doubt about it.
So, dear friends, you know what to do. So now, Tyler, everybody knows you in the world of the United States and beyond. Tonight we have friends from all over the world, which is so exciting. You studied cooking, Johnson and Wales University. Why cooking? How did that happen? And well, there's a million of other questions, of course. But.
So cooking for me has been something. I always say I'm sort of a one-trick pony. You know,
I would say two because he knows wine very well.
Well, thank you. And so the food and beverage experience, the hospitality that comes along with that, and then the worlds that those are associated with, including media, including television, are something that I do with sort of a singular focus. And it has always been my life. I've been passionate about cooking ever since I was a kid. I started out washing dishes in the nicest restaurant in my hometown of Greenville, South Carolina. And it was called the Fish Market, and this is back in the mid 80s, where all of the waiters wore tuxedos with frilly tuxedo shirts, cummerbunds, and it was all about lobster and seafood and crab meat and really delicious dishes that today, if you looked at the menu, it would feel sort of like a throwback in a way. But it was the hottest food ever, and it was a very prestigious chef from Europe. And to me, I just fell in love with not only what was happening in the kitchen, but also what was happening on the wine list, right?
That's right.
And so became very passionate early about the love and the craft and the stories that come along with winemakers. And so that led into a decision really early about where I wanted to spend my focus in my life, and I'm a chef, and I knew it then. I know it now more than ever that the culinary world just really started to call my name, and that was before being a chef was a very celebrated thing to do, right? I mean, it's when food really kind of came from a hole in the wall, and you never really knew who the chef was, to be honest with you, right? So I went to Johnson and Wales University in Charleston, South Carolina, and I was there for about 5 years.
Phenomenal school.
Amazing, and I'm still very, very close with the school today. As a matter of fact, right now I'm teaching a course. I'm a professor at Johnson Wales University.
So I should call you professor.
Well, you should call it.
That's the new title.
They gave me an honorary doctorate in 2005, so I think that's Dr. Tyler Florence.
Hey, Dr. Florence, I like
which is nice. So we've had a lot of really wonderful experiences, and again, passing on the knowledge, right? Because I think if you're given the opportunity to take the elevator to the top floor, it's your obligation to send it back down for somebody else, right? And so for us to be able to, work with a new group of students this year, and my class specifically I'm teaching this year is on entrepreneurism, right? And so it's a master's level course. There's 30 kids in my class, and they're broken up into 10 teams, and they're all designing business models. And myself and two other Johnson Wales University alum are going to be judging the criteria on their business models. I'm also coaching them along the way. And then we're going to pick a winner, and we're going to put our money where our mouth is and offer a $10,000 award for the best business model. And so there's and if you could take a young student who really wanted to jump into the wine business, and really hard to download everything because it's years of collecting information.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? And then keep them on and sharpen their path, and give them a really great direction on how to get from A to B much quicker than you and I did.
Yeah.
Right? Because I always say, like, for every mile of road you lay, there's 2 miles of ditch.
Yes.
So the idea of like staying out of the ditch, right? So to me, I'm very passionate about Johnson Wales University. I'm very passionate about my career choice. I'm very passionate about kind of where we are now. We've never been better. Never been better. This is the hottest restaurant in the city of San Francisco. We're 9 weeks old. We have 5 stars across the board everywhere, and we're resetting the tone of what glamorous restaurants should look and feel like in the city of San Francisco. So starting off at a young age, knowing where I wanted to go, going to Johnson Wales University set that tone, and we haven't forgotten where we come from, and we're still doing it today.
Congratulations. Now, who made you who you are today? In your family, your parents, grandparents, mother, who?
It's an interesting sort of collage, like a quilt almost, of like little pieces of fabric that sort of kind of like have a blanket effect on who I am as a person. And because I take inspiration from a lot of people, right? And obviously there's the circumstances that surround your life when you grew up, right? For good or for bad, right? Because sometimes you're having your back up against the wall. You always kind of come out with like really great ideas.
Yes.
And those situations have definitely been in my life a couple of times. Where I really kind of felt like, okay, things aren't working out really well for numerous reasons. But then we always kind of come back stronger and better than ever, right?
That's right.
So I think in a lot of ways, I'm self-made. No one's ever given me a thing. And so having that, thank you. But having that drive and that determination to develop things that don't exist, right? To create hospitality experiences, to build teams, to understand what business feels like, to understand what media feels like, how to be a good leader, how to be a good husband, how to be a good father, right? So these things.
Because you have how many children?
I have 3 beautiful children.
Yes.
And so I think in a lot of those things, I've taken great advice from a lot of people over the years, a lot of great chefs I've worked for, a lot of great associates I've worked with, and been fired a couple of times. You always learn some good life lessons from those things too, right? When, and sometimes you'll have a project that may sunset, with circumstances that are beyond your control, and you go, okay, well, I'm not doing that anymore. And I think we try to track our wins and try to track our losses
for sure
with equal reverence. Because I think there's life lessons when you win, and I think there's life lessons when you learn.
Do you actually look at that in a very honest, mirrored way when you evaluate wins and losses?
Yeah.
Because I'm not always honest with myself, and I lose a lot. And there's a lot of things I do that don't always turn out the way I'd like, and it's not easy to be. To look at it with really the true balance of life.
I think you get better at filtering your own decision process, right? Because you're a creative, right? Yes. And I am as well, right? And so when you get a good idea on those quiet moments, right? The drive in, when you're in the shower, those like where you wake up in the middle of the night and go, oh wow, that's a good one, right? To me, I've developed a filter process where we try to do more things that work and less of things that don't work, regardless if it feels fun to me or not.
That's right.
So I have a trusted group of people that we will take an idea and we'll kind of put it through sort of our group structure. And then what we try to do is we'll build a business model around that first and foremost. And then we'll try our hardest to break it.
Yeah.
Right? Financially, can I bankrupt my own idea first, right? Because all these things will happen if you just put something out in the wild that's not very well thought through.
That's right.
And so we've had some successes, we've had some failures. I've opened a bunch of restaurants, I've closed a few.
Yeah.
And so I think in a lot of ways, like you take those life experiences, and to me, I really don't believe in failure. I think you either win or you learn, right?
Yeah.
So either you win,
Live
one,
and learn.
you
Not
win,
win and lose, which I love that
right?
idea.
Because to me, there's just no such thing as losing, and so I think if you kind of go through life with the idea that there's no way I can fail here,
Yeah.
I can't fail. So and when they say success is kind of built upon the pillar of failures,
Yes.
then you can't really. So then you have this sort of free idea structure where like, okay, let's do it. Right? This is a great idea. Let's go with it, right? And so you definitely kind of pick up a lot of good life lessons and a stiff backbone and
That's
courage to take your ideas forward. And over the years, you realize, okay, things like that don't work. So we're not going to do things like that anymore. But things like this kill. So we're going to do a lot more of these things. So you start to kind of hone your idea process in, and you just get better at making good decisions.
So on that note, what inspires you? I mean, we are in a new phenomenal place, and dear friends, I got the full tour of this new insane destination in the stadium itself.
Yeah.
With an amazing view, incredible view of the Bay of San Francisco. You know, you're creating all the time. You have many successful restaurants, you have an incredible food shows on television. What inspires you to keep doing things?
You know, to me, I really love to dream and position ideas with things that don't exist.
Yes.
So, like this particular restaurant where we're here in San Francisco right now, this is a mid-century American restaurant that the movie in my mind existed in 1955. And so,
and what's that movie?
Well, it's sort of just like the movie. It's just sort of like the time and the place.
Martin Scorsese.
Maybe it's like some sort of like, or maybe Alfred Hitchcock or something that feels. There's a level of like glamour and suspense and like and character and structure to this restaurant that does it. It feels like it doesn't exist anywhere in particular until you build it, right? And so my philosophy, because I'm a preservationist when it comes to restaurant design, I don't really like to do new, because I think new is not new 5 minutes from now. I really like to go with things that feel classic the second you open the door.
Yes.
It feels like it's been around for years the second you open. And that's always my goal, to kind of build these things. And so to me, like what inspires me and kind of what drives me is to really sort of kind of figure out, calculate a position that doesn't exist that you think should.
Yes.
Right? And then build a really good team and a model and a relationship around that where you can pull that off and then just do it. Because like right now, and we're in San Francisco, California. There's more Michelin stars here than there are anywhere else in the country. There's a lot of really, really good food here.
Sure.
There's also a lot of restaurants that sort of feel similar. Right? They feel sort of Cal Italia. They kind of feel, wood burning oven and burrata, and like they kind of take on this sort of like, farm to table approach.
Absolutely.
And it's beautiful. And so I decided to go a completely different direction and go mid-century American steakhouse, where there's no competition in the city of San Francisco, and although there are steakhouses, no one's doing what we're doing here. And everybody that walks in the door, like, oh my God, this is amazing. The table-side Caesar salad, the caviar donuts, the 45-day dry aged tomahawk,
the champagne bar,
the champagne cart, the dessert cart, like everything just feels so incredibly perfect and new. But I didn't invent anything. I just reintroduced it.
Well, you introduced it with your touch.
But that's best in category, best in class, right? So when we thank you very much. So when we do these
Well, I'm going to drink to that. Best category, best of class.
Yeah, for everything.
5 stars on any social media possible. Everybody's going to come into that sexy booth.
Yeah.
And then we can watch the game, I understand.
Yeah, so we are here.
We're going to have to come for a basketball game.
And it's such an experience. Also for concerts. Mm-hmm. So it's 260 events in 365 days. So every 2 days there's something new. And so right now we're 11 and 2. We're gonna be 12 and 2 tonight. So the Golden State Warriors have the best record in the NBA, and we're super thrilled. I mean, it feels like the Currys have been in. Coach Kerr has been in a couple of times. A lot of ownership have been in. A lot of players have been in. And it feels like that magic season's about to happen again. It really, and we're all trying to like not talk about it too much, but it starts to feel like this thing where it's like, knock on wood, I think we're gonna be the team to beat this year. So there's that energy. Plus, every great concert is now, we used to go to Oakland, we used to go to Sacramento, we used to go to San Jose, are now coming to San Francisco specifically because inside the arena, it is the Roman Coliseum.
I love it.
It's a $1.4 billion entertainment complex.
And how many seats?
18,000. Yeah, 18,000 seats, and sells out in 2 seconds flat, right? So we had Dave Chappelle here 2 weeks ago. We've got Metallica coming up. We've had James Taylor. We've had all kinds of amazing concerts. Tame Impala, all kinds of amazing shows.
And do you have them in the restaurant every time?
Yeah, it's great. It's great. So this is like that see and be seen restaurant.
Of course.
That's really, it feels kind of hot. Like table hopping's a big deal. Like people kind of walk around and start talking to other tables as they do. And we kind of built this thing where people just want to pile up and hang out.
Yeah, and you can, vis-a-vis with the other person on the other side. I love it.
Exactly. Feels
Well,
good.
Tyler, for the Who is Who, you've done a lot of things. I love Tyler's story of the White House.
Yeah.
Do you want to share that little story for a second?
Well, so which one? You said the White House? Which
the
one?
White House in Washington, D.C. to the president. Because Tyler has obviously cooked and culinary direct for all the leaders of the planet. But that was a fun one. I remember you telling me
I've cooked
the
the White House a couple of times, and honestly, it's things that we weren't even really allowed to talk about out of respect for the position. So what raised for Barack Obama did 2 separate fundraising events for him. One here in California with San Francisco, where we co-chaired that with Alice Waters.
Great.
And then I chaired an event in Tampa, Florida for him. We raised about $20 million in both of them, right?
Not too bad for a plate.
I know, right? Well, in both events, and both were big events, right? And so we were invited to cook at the White House, specifically in the West Wing, because they have sort of a visiting chef program where chefs across the country can kind of come in and cook for the president.
For sure.
And all of the president, the vice president, the staff, and it was about 150 people. And so I took my dad and I took my oldest son, who's now 25, to the White House, and it was 3 generations of Florence men, and it was hosted by the United States Navy. The Navy runs the kitchen, so like amazing culinary talent.
Which makes sense to have a military order runs the kitchen, isn't
exactly.
it? The brigade.
The brigade, exactly.
Yeah. Hey, what do you think of this great Chardonnay, by the way?
So I think this Chardonnay is fantastic. So this is
the
Deloche Russian River, and so to me, Russian River is my favorite California Chardonnay. It really because there's a minerality to it that I think sort of reflects Burgundy, which is my favorite Chardonnay in the world.
Yeah.
And I think there's lots of like characteristic qualities that match across Russian River specifically, and also what happens in Burgundy that I think feel incredibly similar, and we're very, very lucky to have something like this on this side of the world. And I think this is delicious. This is Deloche. This is the OFS. This is the 2019 Russian River Cab, Chardonnay, and it has the viscosity to it. It has that funky minerality to it that you would expect in that you expect in a really delicious Chardonnay. And I think it's incredibly drinkable. It's very prestigious. It feels like the best glass of wine you've had in a really long time. As soon as you sip it, okay, wow, this is delicious.
Delicious or delicious?
And I think that's hashtag delicious.
Did we just made me think. That's
did we just coin this?
That's it.
Hashtag delicious.
Hashtag delicious.
Oh my God, I think wow, that just happened. And boom, magic, kids. I like that.
So Tyler, you 16 books, as you said, amazing. Food Network. Yeah. So tell us why it's so important and what you learned from it, and what we should all learn from watching you on TV. Well, because everybody should see it every day.
Yeah. So 25 years on the network.
That's amazing.
And we just thank you. And we
you were not even 20.
I was 25 when we started. Yeah. So I just turned 50.
He's 2 years ahead of me. I'm just 48. So
Well, and I feel like where we are at the age of 48 and 50 respectively, like is where I think our parents' generation were in their 30s. Because I remember my parents and even my grandparents kind of looking a little. By the time they got to 50. It was like a hard 50.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So I think we're taking good care of ourselves.
Well, we can. We have a lot of other tools today.
Exactly. I think we're taking good care of ourselves. But 25
And
years.
you have a beautiful wife, Tolan, who keeps you young.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and I love my family, and my wife's been an amazing support through our we're going to have our 15th wedding anniversary coming up 1st of December in a couple of weeks, as a matter of fact. So. I think television has been this very important cornerstone of my life for sure.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be who I am today without it. There's no doubt about it. And working with Food Network over the years has been this very sort of prestigious group of people that honestly, like the network has grown, and the table has gotten a lot bigger.
Yeah.
And so when you log on to Food Network, there's somebody for everybody as far as like who you are, identifying with the talent on the network,
Yes.
and or your cooking style, or if you like barbecue, or if you like really high-end food, or if you like just putting dinner on the table. There's somebody that speaks your language for sure.
That's
and
right.
and I really really love that. But every time we get together, there's a bit of reverence to the fact that we're here, and there's only about 20 of us on planet Earth that can say that we've done what we're doing. And so like Emeril Lagasse, you were just with him last weekend
That's right.
in New Orleans. Like Bobby Flay, a very very dear friend of mine.
Yeah.
And so there's a couple of like us that started from the very beginning with the network and have had a really beautiful symbiotic relationship.
Yes.
that they make us, and we are stewards of that particular brand. And very, very lucky to be there for sure. So the fact that I'm 50 years old, I just signed a new 5-year contract with the network.
That's amazing.
And so we're just kind of moving on, and I'm actually getting ready to launch my first show that I'm producing and directing myself, which is kind of fun.
I love it.
So this is
Because we'll have to talk about this.
yeah, because I
We
love
have fun news,
I love
dear
all the
friends.
camera guys here. It was kind of fun too. So because I've made movies before. I own an advertising agency. So from a creative perspective, from a brand perspective,
Yes.
from a digital content creation perspective, I feel like I'm really good at that
For
too.
sure.
Right? So we just love doing all this kind of stuff and making media that doesn't exist, finding a new position that doesn't exist that should. Simple's hard. Right, so you have to come up with a great concept that's really, really simple, and Food Network has taught me all of that. Right.
So how do you, within all your 16 books, and dear friends, I have the 16 of them, half of them signed by Tyler, so you need to come back to the kitchen.
I've got a pen for sure.
Yeah, we have. Maybe with Cabernet sauce.
Yes. Oh my God, delicious. So we're working on a collaboration here at Miller Lux, which I think is going to be very, very exciting. We're gonna kick it off with an incredible Oakville Cabernet, which because I've been making wine off and on for 12, 15 years or so. So kind of getting back.
Tyler, dear friends, not only is a chef, but a phenomenal winemaker, and I can tell you, for having been friends for many, many years, over a decade, and knowing each other really as friends, and eating, drinking, having a great group of friends together, a little gourmet gang.
Yep.
To Maria and to...
You and I have had dinner together 50 times.
Exactly. And
Tyler
Tyler has spoken about wine so articulately, so well.
Beautiful wife, Gina, right?
Of course.
Yeah, right.
And I feel Tyler is as good of a winemaker as he's a chef. So tell us about how that started. Because that's very impressive. It's rare to go as deep as you have. Georges Blanc has his own vineyards in Burgundy, who is a very close friend, and he makes Pouilly-Fussé, Macon, Pouilly-Vinzel, great wines over there. But you're one of the only one as a chef who went so deep.
And Georges Blanc is an amazing chef who's on my list of, and I've been to his restaurants and really love the property, and I've traveled through there extensively, and I really take away a lot of soulful kind of cooking experiences every time I go there, because it's simple, perfect food, right? And the hospitality is amazing, the wine's great.
For sure.
So to me, like when as a young dishwasher at the age of 15 years old, not only was I really passionate about what was happening in the kitchen, and learning, details on how to make a hollandaise sauce and how to grill steaks and how to peel asparagus and things that, right? The first time you taste lobster and mayonnaise, these light
It's harder to do hollandaise than peeling asparagus.
Right, but you start learning from the basics, right? The basics, right? And this is in the mid '80s when hollandaise was a big deal. I was also incredibly passionate about what was happening in the front of the house, specifically with our wine director. And so we would have these wine dinners, and the sommelier would bring the winemaker back to the dish pit, and I would clean myself up, and he would introduce me to the winemaker, and then he would explain, this is German Riesling, this is Italian, Barolo, this is like really amazing French Pinot Noir, it's California Cabernet, and like kind of walk me through everything, and because I just thought, to me, there's so much history and story on the label itself.
Yes.
Like I'm a wine label student,
Yeah.
and to me, as a guy who runs restaurants, if last night's service didn't go so well, we can make it up tonight, but in the wine world, you get one shot a year.
That's it.
You get one shot a year to put your best effort into that. So this is a winemaker's best intentions for 365 days, and my God, the pressure around that, right? The pressure.
Enormous. You miss
Yeah.
a vintage, that's
Right,
it.
the commercially competitive, delicious.
And how did you
whatever.
get motivated to really want it to create? Because today, dear friends, this is a little sample.
Yeah.
There's another 20 on another table. We spare you the time of. And we've been blending, we've
Yeah.
been talking wine, we've been talking flavor, sensory,
Yeah.
food and wine pairing. I mean, you have it. So why did you want to go so far into it?
Well, because it was just one of those things that, if you know yourself, there's always these life projects that, at some
Yeah.
point in time, you should do. Just
Yes.
because you're gonna regret it if you don't, right? So when my wife and I moved here in 2007 from New York City, one of my goals was to start making wine, and I literally partnered with a company that went out of business around 2008, 2009. But it was called Crush Pad here in San Francisco in Dog Patch, actually right around the corner from where we are now.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to make some Christmas gifts, some corporate Christmas gifts.
Yeah.
So like, thank you Food Network, thank you Food and Wine Magazine,
Yeah.
thank you. So I wanted to just make a barrel, which is 25 cases, 300 bottles, right? It's a big project of wine that I blended myself. So I bought one unfinished barrel of Zinfandel from Lake County. Just beautiful blackberry bramble, just like really, really delicious structure, nice tannin, fruit forward, slightly elevated alcohol content. I think it was like in the 14 range, like Turley level, but like nice acidity, really, really great, but unfinished, right? So, to call a wine from a place, it has to have 85% of that particular grape
That's
juice
right.
from that place. To call it something, but that's 15% is artistry, right? And so I literally, went with the winemaker who I feel like he worked at Opus, so super, like great collaboration, right?
Yeah.
And so, and I learned right there at that first juncture that what I do in the kitchen, sculpting something wet, right, building a soup, building a stock, building a sauce,
Yes.
is not too dissimilar from
That's right.
from building wine. Not apples for apples, but
Quite close.
but you understand seasoning, structure, long acidity, long finish. You can dissect flavor
Yeah.
profiles, right? You can identify what's not there, and so we just started kind of blending this wine together, and I made 25 cases,
I love
all right,
it.
300 bottles, and
That's what it is in a barrel, dear friends.
yeah. So I got it on the list at Michael Mina. I got it on the list at a couple restaurants in Chicago, and so I felt like, okay, wow, I'm actually making wine. I'm selling wine. I'm a winemaker, but it was just a hobby.
Yeah.
So I was up in Napa, literally knocking on doors of restaurants. I mean, and selling out of the trunk of my car. It was a Mercedes, but selling out of the trunk of my car. So I brought 2 bottles of my Zen to Tim Fish at Wine Spectator magazine, who covers Zinfandel for California, and I almost didn't realize what I was doing.
Yeah.
But because I knew him professionally, I'm like, Tim, do me a favor, new project I'm working on.
Why
send
not?
send me some feedback.
Yeah.
Let me know what you think. And he never wrote me back. So I said to myself, okay, that's the end of my wine career, right? and then a month later, he gives me a 92 in Wine Spectator.
Wow. I want to drink to
He gives
that
me
one.
he gives me a 92 in Wine
Big
Spectator.
deal.
And
Wine number one.
and wine number 1.
And a Zinfandel.
And his Zinfandel on top of it, which I'm incredibly passionate about,
Yeah,
which is really
for
great.
sure.
And
We adore Zinfandel.
and it's a rootstock of Sangiovese in Italy, and so like those are old vines, it's old California growth, right? And to me, I just absolutely loved it. So then we made a Pinot, then we made a Chardonnay, then we did a Sauvignon Blanc, and then we started growing this business into something that it's really really interesting. We're on premise, we're off premise, we're in different restaurants. People are big partners are buying our wine, and then we had a 5-year run at Target, which was really amazing. So then you start thinking, okay, now what we're doing is cute, right? But then all of a sudden you kind of get into this next level. Okay, can we move some juice, right?
That's right.
I think in Napa specifically.
And then you were building.
Thank you. Oh my God.
Ooh
gorgeous.
la 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 la.
So this is our 45-day dry age tomahawk, which is absolutely delicious,
Look
nice
at
and
that.
funky, really really great. Served with bone
And
marrow.
the aroma.
It's great. So this is all California beef, we work with 3 different ranches up around Shasta, grass-fed, grain-finished, and then a 45-day dry age with our partner who's about 4 blocks away from here, and I think our steaks are just beautiful. Thanks so much. I think our steaks are just beautiful, just phenomenal. If we can get some silver, we'll snack on this and we'll try our cab.
We're making all of you jealous, dear friends. I know how it feels.
So jealous. But to me, this is what relationships are all about.
That's
right?
it.
And I so appreciate you, respect
I'm so
you. We've been
excited.
friends forever. And then for us to be able to kind of do this and you share these moments with people, we throw a party here every night.
Yeah.
So when people walk on the door and I've been here every day for 9 weeks, right? And obviously for 3.5 years before that.
And I think it's very important.
You
in
have
many
to,
ways.
man. You have
because
to, right?
people see you on TV. They obviously
thank you, I appreciate it. Thank you.
read your books, but the chef exists. Because what do you think, in fact, of this evolution, obviously, that people are questioning sometimes, when a chef has so many restaurants, we never see him.
Right.
So what's your thought about that?
Well,
Because you're very present as an owner
Yeah.
of an incredible organization. I see you at all of your places, and that's what I love.
And that's, I think, part of our longevity. So with what we do specifically, or my career path, I have a diversified portfolio because television has been so. This is our green peppercorn sauce on top. We've been so lucky to be able to have a lot of different opportunities financially. So I've never been really deal hungry when it comes to a lot of restaurants because they're kind of a handful to manage anyway.
That's right.
So I'd rather do fewer, better places that never run the risk of being a 3-year flash in the pan or a 5-year flash in the pan. Wayfair Tavern, our sister restaurant, 11 years old.
That's right.
Fourth largest.
1895.
As far as design template, here it's 1955.
That's great.
And we're the 4th largest grossing restaurant in the city of San Francisco right now. We're doing 600 covers a day.
I will toast for the fork on
cheers,
that
man.
one.
Cheers. And this is the new joint, right?
Yeah.
And this is the new property that's just going to be, just a legacy property in the city of San Francisco. Come on.
Wow.
And then we just got, I've been waiting for this because we blended this cob, and I want to match this because I think it's going to be great.
That's going to be very exciting. So, Tyler, you may want to explain what you're doing with this amazing historical brand, and maybe explain to our friends why we're having meat in the historical meatpacking district.
So Miller Lux, taste that.
Wow.
45-day dry age with that really beautiful oak cab. I knew this was going to work.
Wow.
So you start to think these things through, like you like the way, maybe this is too much hyperbole, but the way Mozart used to hear music, right? You start tasting flavors that don't exist yet, in anticipation of kind of being there. You know what I mean? Like I knew this was going to taste great with that. I knew it.
Wow.
I knew it. Bang.
And I love it with the pepper sauce because it's not too dominant.
Yeah.
So well integrated, so well balanced that it's not just about pepper, but it's there.
Exactly.
And I think it enhanced the wine.
It's a delicious combination of this jamminess, this sort of like, it's food and wine, right? It's the full.
I'm going to
it's the
try
full
that
experience.
piece with no sauce just to compare.
Exactly. So you got like really nice like tail pieces here, which are delicious. Isn't that great? Phenomenal, right? Isn't that good? So Miller and Lux, it's an amazing story. So where we're sitting right now, between the 1860s all the way up to the 1906 earthquake, used to be the largest meat packing district on the west coast of the United States. Huh?
Amazing. Try a piece. Forgive me to interrupt you.
Yeah,
without the sauce, just because when you taste Cabernet, some of our friends and some of your recipes are without the pepper sauce. So,
Delicious.
45 years of age?
For days.
Days,
Yeah, right.
We are 45 years of age.
We're 45. Right. Different aging process. So,
I think if anybody would argue, we should ask all the ladies around, we taste better than a 45 age steak.
I like to think so. At least this is what we tell them. Anyway. But so where we sit right now used to be the largest meat packing district on the west coast of the United States. It was called Butcherstown. And so the company that had the largest footprint inside Butcherstown was called Miller Lux. And it was Henry Miller and Charles Lux, two immigrants that came from Germany in the late 1860s, butchers by trade, came to San Francisco, made a name for themselves, opened up, they had a huge facility here. And they started getting into real estate and cattle ranching, and by the time they retired, they were known as the Cattle Kings of California. And they had one contiguous piece of property from San Francisco all the way down to Bakersfield with cattle, and there's been books written about this. It's an amazing, really amazing legacy brand here in California. So when we stumbled across that storyline, I'm like, that's it. And this is the name of the restaurant.
Such a great name.
Yeah, so we started doing some research on it, and we trademarked it, and like we're loving it. It's a great story.
Is so exciting, dear friends. Stadium, Warriors, the Coliseum of San Francisco. I love that idea. Now tell us about your amazing movie. You won so many awards. I was so delighted to see it.
It was good.
So the fire happened, dear friend, to give you a little bit of a context, because you, from all around the world, and Tyler takes his camera and decides to create a movie. So take it from there.
So the 2017 wildfire,
Yeah.
and in retrospect, was the first year that the climate in California began to tip, and no one realized it yet. But because before that, there had not been a fire of that magnitude since 1965, and everyone was under the impression that this was like the fire of the generation.
Yeah.
Some of you would tell your grandkids about the big one. No one knew that there would be a bigger fire in 2018 and a bigger fire in 2019, even bigger fire in 2020. And so it was the first year that the climate tipped to no one's favor.
Yeah.
And we realized what we're into now in retrospect, right? So that the fire happened right before Halloween. And then there were 18 fires had broken out in less than 24 hours, and most of them were power poles that were knocked over.
That's right.
And because like that much fire outbreak within 100 miles of each other.
That's right.
From Petaluma all the way up to Calistoga, because at the end of every summer we have a very windy season, and it's also in California it rains for 6 months a year. And then it doesn't rain for 6 months a year. So October is the end of the driest, time of the year. So we've certainly learned a lot, and power companies have stepped up, and there's been lots of like blame, but I think there's lots of resolution.
But what is so cool though?
Yeah.
Creative, right side of the brain.
Yeah.
Tyler takes his camera, buys an extra camera,
Hired a camera crew. Directed a movie.
And you directed a movie. Tell us about the movie.
So the movie's
that's
called,
a big deal.
Thank you very much. The film's called Uncrushable, and we were invited to 9 film festivals the following year, 2018. And it really just sort of follows the timeline from the fire, because the fire was still burning when we started shooting, and we had access into fire trucks that were leaving out of Marin County, driving up into the fire. So our cameras were on the fire trucks, so they were in the middle of the blaze, and then we found probably 10 really good stories to tell, and really that first person perspective on what was the most devastating thing that ever happened in the state of California at that time. Yeah. And so the first half was about the fire itself, and the second half, which is the really inspirational part of the movie, is about the community that came around to support one another. And so it was a phenomenal experience to watch the human heart come together in the face of adversity. and to really kind of meet challenges like that. And then what was even scarier after the movie, we were premiering. This is scary. 2017, 2018, we finished the film. We were at the Napa Film Festival screening our movie the day the next fire broke out. As a matter of fact, like we were premiering the movie, and I was doing press outside the movie theater while this huge next big fire was starting to break out, and we're like, oh my God, here we are again. So to me, like, as being on television for 25 years, having the experience of creating content and creating media, and then always having this sort of ongoing dialogue with yourself about new ideas, new structure. I think movies are kind of where we want to be. So we have 2 concepts at Netflix right now.
Really?
Yep. We have a couple scripts in development. We have we're directing a new television show for Food Network right now. So right now my main focus is, like, we have two companies. We have a hospitality division.
Yes.
And these are our restaurants, and then we have a production company called Monarch Collective, which is 5 years old, and so we're doing both of those with an intense amount of passion.
Hey, talking about entrepreneurship, dear friends, talking about passion, talking about a great businessman who builds both sides of the brain to be equally successful is very rare.
And so guys, we get spring up to the table, man. So we want to invite everybody to kind of come up. We got steaks.
Yeah, so
out the wazoo,
everybody should join us here.
Yeah, come up. If you guys want to come grab one. So these are 45-day dry-aged tomahawks, like nice and crunchy on the outside, really delicious.
So Tyler, maybe 2 more questions.
Oh my God.
Because we know service is going to start. Maybe you finish the Oakville.
Yeah.
Let's go to Napa for a second. As the Oakville. I know.
Got me a glass.
I'm drinking faster than you are.
Yeah, Bordeaux glass. Thanks. God.
I'm going to try that one.
Different
one. Huh?
Thank you, bud. Thanks, buddy. It's 1881, which is such an amazing property too, right? In Yountville, right?
Oakville Grocery.
Yeah.
Right there. This is really the iconic house. Where everything started in 1875.
It's so distinctive, right? I mean, you get like a really kind of beautiful, very, very jammy front nose on this.
Yeah. So they built the house in 1885 and 75 and launched the actual, project in 1881. That's the Oakville Grocery back then. Can you imagine? Look at this.
Isn't that wild?
That's the phenomenal map of Napa. So, Tyler, what's your dream next?
Well,
I mean, I know you're doing a ton of things right now, so it's hard to think next, but what's your dream at large?
Well, we're definitely going to take Miller Lux, and we're going to do a bunch of these, right? So we're looking at our second property, perhaps in Fresno, a very interesting market that I think a lot of people should pay attention to. We're talking to Las Vegas about doing Miller Lux. So I think, in a way, we're always kind of in this balance mode. Should we do more TV? Or less TV? Should we do more restaurants or less restaurants?
That's right.
So right now we're in a hardcore, like, more restaurant zone, right? So we want to do more of that, right? So Miller Lux is going to be our brand. We're going to roll this out. It's going to be a thrill to tell this story to a lot of people and have this great American steak experience, which I'm so passionate about. Thank you. Thank you.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Unbelievable.
Thank you.
Dear friends, I'm going to leave with a bone, just to let you know.
It's really good. Yeah.
And
what about you? Congratulations on all this.
Well,
and I hope I just got to tell you, like, what an absolute honor it is to be with you.
We love the Food Network, but with the JCB Network in many ways, which is the wine country. This is a great group of phenomenal friends all around the world, and millions of our friends watch us every month. And,
I love that.
And they're going to be thrilled to see Tyler Florence.
Well, and to me, to be able to have a moment, because, like, you and I have been friends forever, and sometimes we don't get a chance to, like, talk.
That's right. And we always with a group.
Yeah.
That's the challenge. Yeah. So maybe you have a big message to the world from Tyler Florence, the big closing moment, dear friends, as we're going to finish our steak. Tomahawk. Right. That's quite the steak.
Make a reservation at Miller Lux, baby.
That's it.
No, but I think for the most part, we're I feel like we're kind of coming out of, this, like, generational sort of, the whole, right, emotionally, right, where the pandemic, and I think we all learned a lot of lessons about, paying attention, right, to yourself from a health standpoint, paying attention to the people around you that love you and you love them back, right?
That's right.
And paying attention to your businesses and like really kind of feel like you're more connected than ever before. So I that's where I am. I hope everybody feels the same way. That I've never been more grateful, right,
Yes.
for everything we have right now.
That's
and more excited about taking these opportunities. It's not take them lightly, but knock them out of the park.
That's right.
And that's where we
No
are now.
pun
man.
intended.
Yeah, exactly. So we're just thrilled to be here. Thank you so much. The Warriors has been an amazing opportunity to partner up with such a fabulous organization here.
For sure.
And we're going to create like the best steakhouse in the West Coast of the United States. Right?
And the best Cabernet and maybe Chardonnay.
Exactly. We have so much fun
Signed
stuff
by
coming
Tyler
up.
Florence, dear friend. That's going to be a lot
amazing.
of fun.
Yeah, Miller Lux, Oakville Cabernet. We're gonna finish this back up. Actually, the bottle that you brought is perfect, and then we're gonna finish it together, and then we'll have this on the menu springtime. It'll be good.
I love it.
Yeah,
And a
good.
Chardonnay we worked on,
right.
and bubbles.
That'll be good.
Exciting.
Very, very exciting.
Tyler, congratulations. Thank
you very much.
Being an inspiration.
Yeah.
Mid-century man, incredible, great family, beautiful wife, Tolan, we love her.
Yeah.
And what a success. And again, the big lesson again, keeping reinventing yourself, keeping innovating, not being afraid
Yeah.
of learning and building greater success. Remember, there's no failure. It's success and learning.
Yeah, you win or you learn. That's it. And then and with that idea, like you nothing should ever stop you ever. Cheers, brother. So good to see you. So,
Good
and
to
please
see
tell
you.
Gina I said hi. Okay? I
Absolutely.
will.
And Tolan.
Yes.
Big kiss.
Thanks, everybody.